Hello and welcome to ReelTV. I'm Rachel Hine.
And I'm Matt Rajapowski. And today we are going to be talking about the Full House coming to Netflix situation.
Yes, Fuller House.
We've got Fuller House,
Yes.
yeah. It's now even fuller than before.
Because it wasn't full before.
Yeah, right. And we don't really have that many details on it. We don't have too much.
But we know what's happening.
We know what's happening. We know that they're hoping to get a reunion episode to kick off the season, and that they're trying to do is get the whole cast. So that should be really nice. And then the plot afterwards is really interesting because it's almost the same plot as the original series,
Yes.
right? So DJ, who is the oldest daughter, if you'll remember from Full House, her husband is going to die mysteriously. We don't really know how.
Yes. We hope Steve is the husband, not that he dies, but.
And DJ is going to have 2 young boys, and she'll be pregnant with a third. And now Stephanie, who is the middle sister, and Kimmy, who is the next door neighbor, they're going to come and help her raise her 3 kids.
Yes.
So it's interesting. It's the exact same situation,
Yeah.
but now gender roles are switched.
Yes, it's basically the same plot, which makes me, I don't know, I'm nervous and happy at the same time. I think that part of the reason why they're doing that is because they know it worked the first time, so hopefully that will work again. But I'm also curious to see how similar it will be. Is it going to be too similar? Is it going to be the exact same thing? And I know that Candace Cameron, who plays DJ, and Andrea Barber, who plays Kimmy, are really good friends in real life, so I'm not surprised that the 2 of them definitely signed on. And I hope that Kimmy's going to be, you know, the Joey of kind of
it
the
should
whole
be
family.
It should be interesting to see like what dynamic they'll go for.
Yeah, and I hope that it was rumored. The Olsen twins had said like they weren't sure, they just heard about it, so they have to see, you know, whether they're gonna sign on or not. They said they were gonna talk to the writers, but like a day after they announced Full House, or very recently, or Fuller House, the Nickelodeon announced that they're going to air all Mary-Kate and Ashley's old things on Nickelodeon. So wondering maybe because like they'll be more like out in the open on that, maybe they'll actually sign on for this, which would be really awesome. I'd like to see a full cast at some point, whether it's, you know, every single episode or just the reunion episode. I that's my goal. I want to see everyone back.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the writers just have a lot of work with as far as who they can bring back for like guest appearances, because I know only so far John Stamos and Bob Saget maybe have come back and said that they'll be guest starring, but definitely that would be cool to see how they'll bring them in and use them, because they're the veterans. They've gone through it all before.
Right.
So
no, I agree. I agree.
I'm wondering, what target audience they have, because are they doing it to please, the Netflix generation, like the younger kids right now, or is it for us since we grew up with Full House in our lives always, or even even my parents enjoyed Full House.
Yeah, no, me too.
I'm wondering, who they're trying to please with it, and I think that's where it's going to change, the direction of the show.
Yeah, I hope that it's a little bit of both. I know that like with the Disney Channel whole Boy Meets World thing, they kind of got a mixed thing because everyone was like, oh, because it's the same actors, like, are going to be back. It's Corey and Topanga. But then I think after a while, now it's the kids, and half the kids that watch it don't even know that there was a Boy Meets World before the Girl Meets World.
Exactly.
I'm hoping that's not the case with Full House. I hope that they know that there was a Full House before the Fuller House. I really hope they do know that. And I would like to see some of like the smaller characters come on, and Michelle's friend Denise and Teddy, and all of those. Those random characters, Stephanie's friend Gio, when they were in a band, will Jesse be with the monkey puppets? I would like to see them bring those small characters back if they can't have the whole entire cast for a whole, reunion. I want to be like, I recognize that, and figure out who that is. I would really like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how much fan service they really give us, and if they're going to be pulling upon that deep history, or if they are going to be just trying to establish this as its own show. It should be interesting.
Yeah, I hope it's more of pulling apart history because I'm such a Full House fan.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. I don't know.
Yeah, I always have that problem where I want the show to just be mine and just work with, everything that I've already seen and call upon that and entertain me. But, now I think it's even harder because it is on Netflix and, there is not even like, if it was on Nick, then I would know, oh, this is for kids.
Right.
With Boy Meets World, that is on, it's still on Disney. It's still on Disney Channel, so it's aimed for kids.
Yeah.
So if, adults, or young adults, I guess, like us don't like it, well, at least we could say, well, it's a kid's show.
Right, it's all on Disney Channel, but because this is on Netflix, we really don't know what to
And we expect a lot from Netflix. So if you mess us up, we're coming after you.
Which I really hope they don't. And I'm excited to see kind of like the dynamic of the entire cast being there, because all of like Candace Cameron and Andrea Barber, they all have, their own families now and they're mothers of their own. So, I'm curious to see how that goes and how like if, their whole lives that they've had outside of the show play a part.
Yeah, it's interesting. We kind of get like I feel like it's getting the all grown up treatment, like from Rugrats. So then they made that all grown up, and we got to see what they were like as teenagers, but we weren't sure if we liked it, So now, we'll see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, well, much excitement to come. I'm Matt Rajapowski.
I'm Rachel Hine, and thanks for watching ReelTV. We'll be back.
Welcome to our news segment of ReelTV. I'm Lindsay Lorfus.
I'm Connor Smith.
And I'm Matt Rajapowski. And today we're going to be talking news. First thing on our list, Furious 8, Fast and Furious 8, officially has a release date, which is 4/14, so April 14th of 2017. Not too far off.
No.
There was a lot of questions about this because I know that most of the actors are between contracts. So it's interesting. We'll see who will actually end up coming back.
It like just crossed 1 billion worldwide. Like, I mean, like how many? Not very many movies have done that.
Yeah, it was actually Fast and Furious 7. Yeah, fastest film to reach $1 billion, to gross $1 billion worldwide. And I think, interestingly, that recently, depending on how Avengers 2 does, Marvel will beat Harry Potter as the most lucrative film franchise.
Wow.
That would be intense.
Yeah, which is interesting stuff. We might see some Harry Potter diehard fans go nuts for the a war of the fandoms. Yeah. All right, so next is season 2 of Daredevil. We'll have new showrunners.
Yeah, so Daredevil just had a really successful season 1. Drew Goddard created it. He was really involved he co-wrote Cabin in the Woods, which is a great film. And Netflix picked it up for a second season, but new showrunners. So changes in the air for Daredevil.
Yeah, it's interesting because they are doing, the next show I think that's on Netflix with Marvel is Luke Cage. So there is going to be, an expanding Netflix-based superhero
they
world
have 3
on Marvel,
shows,
I guess.
right?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they'll, if other people will be helming different seasons of those shows also.
Oh, I bet.
So
Definitely.
New superhero universe. Even more superheroes.
So
right.
Just too many. But
Next up, we have Vince Gilligan has plans for a Jack and the Beanstalk, and I loved Jack from Into the Woods, the little boy who played Jack. It was wonderful, and if they included him, I think that'd be wonderful.
Didn't you just like
a superstar?
Lindsay just likes musicals way too much.
So like way too much. I have to include them in the conversation every time.
Just shove Into the Woods into it. Yeah, but there have been a lot of Jack and the Beanstalk lately.
I feel like they just did one.
Jack, the
Wasn't it like a
Giant
massive
Slayer.
bomb?
Yeah.
Yeah, it tanked, but it was not done by the creator of Breaking Bad.
That's true.
I
give him a lot of faith. I'll give you that.
That was not Zack Snyder, X-Men guy.
Brian Singer.
Bryan Singer did
Yes,
Jack the
he
Giant
did.
Slayer, and it didn't do so hot at the box office, but I saw it. It was fairly entertaining. It wasn't anything, but it's Vince Gilligan, so
Yeah, and we do know that Vince Gilligan can, he can assemble that team of writers to do amazing stuff because a lot of people, appreciate Breaking Bad mostly for its writing and cinematography. So seeing that translate into film will be cool.
The pitch meeting for that, it's like, why do we need another? The studio's like, why do we need another Jack and the Beanstalk? He's like, dude, I made Breaking Bad. They're like, okay. Here's money for the script, so we'll see.
I wonder how family friendly it'll be, because when you think about Breaking Bad and
Like who it'll appeal
how
to.
dark it'll, exactly. Interesting to think about. Next up, we have the Star Wars anthology with Rogue One. There might be a prequel. What do you guys think about this?
So it was just Star Wars, some con, some sort of fan meeting with all the fans, and a poster came out, as well as a little bit of footage, right? Just with them running these as soldiers. Might be wrong on that.
Yeah, we've
But
got
not
the
100% sure.
we've got the like TIE fighters and
Yeah.
the X-wing and Y-wing piloters, and they're always present in Star Wars. We do always see them. They're like on the front lines almost. You always see them on the front lines. While Luke's off fighting Darth Vader, these guys are flying around. So it's gonna shed light onto that situation. The life of a Star Wars space pilot fighter, I guess. So I think that'll be cool, but. Star Wars is universe building itself now. We've got now. They're doing that, and I know there's a Han Solo project that's been greenlit that they're trying to get through. So
They have a Boba Fett one, right? Or
yeah,
Jango Fett.
yeah. So it's interesting. They're all building these universes in film, and it's becoming more and more like television almost.
Yeah, I like the idea of like a smaller scale Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because every Star Wars movie has this huge scope, tons of battles on all these different planets, and tons of Jedis and Sith Emperors and blah, 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 blah. But like just narrowing it and focusing on a couple pilots could be interesting, I think. Because Star Wars is so huge.
Yeah. These grand epics, we'll see what's going on the
the
low level.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We were talking about Harry Potter before, and there's that Harry Potter part of Universal and things like that. Like, will they make a Star Wars amusement park, like just dedicated to that?
That would be
interesting.
Like,
Disney World don't they have one?
They have a ride, but
Now that they've picked up, because Disney owns Star Wars, right? I bet you it's in the works.
Give a whole new park to it.
It's definitely out
They
there.
better have a Star Wars park,
Right?
because that would be awesome, like Harry Potter World. But moving on, really quick, because no one really, I didn't like this movie, so I don't really want to talk about it that much. Maybe you guys liked it, and we can talk about it. The Equalizer with Denzel Washington is getting a sequel because it ended on a really open note, and there's a sequel in the works. Did either of you guys see it?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. I do have to defend Denzel.
I love Denzel. I love Denzel. I just didn't like The Equalizer.
Okay. The last thing that I did see him in was Flight, and that was amazing.
See, Flight is
Outstanding.
amazing.
Yeah.
But there was
Outstanding.
Flight was great, but was it called Two Guns?
Yes.
With Mark
Two
Wahlberg.
Guns with Mark Wahlberg.
Didn't dig that one either.
So I guess Denzel's just failing on the action side now.
Yeah.
So, that's the gist.
Equalizer was just so forgettable, but didn't really care
he
about
has
that.
gotten into Broadway as well, so maybe he should take more of that
theater.
route.
I would love to see him in a play. I just haven't. But
Just to be 50 feet away from him.
He's just
that would be
compelling.
amazing.
He's a compelling figure.
Most definitely.
Every scene that he's in, you gotta look at him.
Big piece of news this week is that David Ayer, who's directing Suicide Squad, tweeted a picture of Jared Leto, who's playing the Joker, and he is absolutely indescribably terrifying. Like, he is holding his head and his hair's green
with
and he's wearing
a purple medical glove.
He's wearing a purple glove and he has tons of tattoos.
It's latex. It's like a latex hospital glove.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's...
And there's a Joker. I had the picture in front of me. There's a Joker tattoo or the clown, and it says ha 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 ha. It is really creepy. And I like that it's different from Jack Nicholson Joker. It's different from Heath Ledger Joker, at least visually.
I did see very interesting, I thought, was a comparison of photos. Obviously, you have to compare them to the past, prominent Jokers. And it had, you've got Jack Nicholson, and his Joker was very much the gangster. He had that swagger. And then
swagger.
Heath Ledger, and he's the anarchist. He's looking for chaos. He's watching it burn. And now we've got Jared Leto, and he is the psychopath. He's the psychopathic Joker. And it's interesting to see, what level of that we're going to reach to.
That's interesting. I would almost argue that Heath Ledger was kind of a psychopath, too.
Yeah, but he very much had that goal. There was no rhyme or reason to, I think, this Joker. I think he's going to be, because I think when we first meet him, he's going to be in an asylum or in prison.
Yeah, Arkham.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think this is a great next step for him after Dallas Buyers Club, and he won the Oscar. This is totally different from that role, and
it's amazing
his hair is cut
who
now.
they bring in for these roles, because nobody thought Heath Ledger would pull that off.
Seriously.
A rom-com, highly, mostly rom-com actor going into Joker, but he was amazing.
And I'm going to be really fascinated if they can reinvent this character a third time. Because I absolutely adore Jack Nicholson as Joker. in his own fun, very much so comic book-y, gangstery way that you said. But then Heath Ledger was just balls to the wall, crazy, unpredictable, relentless. And then I'm really interested if they can reinvent it again, which is like...
Yeah. What's really interesting is that on the image that was released, one of his tattoos on his arm is actually a robin. So is there?
Ooh, because he kills Robin.
Yeah, he does.
In
In the comics, there is an iteration where he kills Robin, and it's really hard for Batman to come back from that. So I'm wondering, I'm wondering where if they're gonna bring that in. It should be cool just to see, because that would kind of fit with this, ruthless Joker. He's
really
willing to kill here.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So exciting things to come. Yeah.
One last little tidbit to make your day a little more kinky is that 50 Shades of Grey 2 and 3, it's called Darker.
2 and 3.
2 and 3. 50 Shades of Grey Darker and 50 Shades of Grey Freed. They are being released. They have scheduled dates. February 10th, 2017, so hitting that Valentine's Day again, and then February 9th, 2018. So they're coming out a year apart, 2017, 2018. Any thoughts, or do we not really care that much?
We saw it coming almost, I would say.
Oh, of
I mean, it
course.
was too massive not to get a sequel. I was surprised. That's the first I'm hearing it's going to be a trilogy now, but it's
Well, there are
interesting.
3 books.
Okay, yeah.
So
I guess that
after
makes
the first
sense.
one was massively successful, I can definitely see it. I knew once it made, I think it made 60 or 80 million.
Yeah,
It
there's
made
a very
lot.
hardcore fan base for
Very-
50 Shades of Grey.
Very hardcore.
A lot of good jokes to come out of them.
A lot of making fun of them.
Yeah,
will
a lot of
be
internet
had.
trolling will be had.
A lot of internet trolling.
Welcome back to ReelTV. I'm Lindsey Lane Lorfus.
And I'm Connor Smith.
And right now we're going to talk about Fresh Off the Boat, the latest sitcom that deals with an Asian American family. It's the first time we have an Asian American family sitcom
We do.
since the 90s with Margaret Cho and All American Girl. So it's been
been
a
a
while.
long time.
Been a good long time. So.
ABC's really trying to diversify. I think they have a family sitcom. I mean, do they have any sitcoms that aren't family sitcoms?
I know, seriously.
Like they have...
Blackish.
They're covering all the race bases there. They've got Modern Family, which does, of course, have gay parents, and Gloria is Hispanic, and then they have Cristela, which is another Hispanic family, and Fresh Off the Boat, and Blackish.
Even the Goldbergs.
The Goldbergs
have the Jewish
is the 80s?
background.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. See, I
of
don't watch the
80s.
Goldbergs. Then they also have The Middle, which they're not pretty diverse, but
Yeah, they're just a rural
they're a
family.
goofy family, yeah. But wow, ABC really, now that I'm like thinking about it,
Yeah,
they really do.
yeah, they
But
really
what do
do.
you think about Fresh Off the Boat, which just wrapped up its first season?
Yes.
Has not been renewed yet, but things are looking pretty good for it, I would say.
I would say so, definitely. I love the show. I think it's fantastic. It's cleverly written. It takes place in the 90s. So it's cool to bring back that history, and it reminds the older audience of when they grew up of that time, and it familiarizes us. I mean, I was born in the 90s, so I don't really remember a lot of it exactly, but it's cool to learn about culture in that sense. And I think Constance Wu, who plays Jessica, the mom, is phenomenal. She's a hit. She's so sassy and feisty, but still is
the
a loving
show.
mom. She really does. She really does. And so now they're making the live action Beauty and the Beast. And so with thinking about this live action idea, I think that Jessica or Constance Wu would be a wonderful Mulan if they did a live action Mulan. I'm really
Ooh,
hoping
that
that
could be
she could enter
good.
mainstream that way. So.
I want to go back a little bit on what you said about the history, the 90s sort of aspect to it. And there's an episode on the show where they have a video game, and they're fighting about video games, and the young son, his name's Eddie, right?
Yes.
He wants this video game, and he's saving up for it, but the moral of the story is his dad is like, you need to learn to work for your money. But the one of his friends is actually playing, is it the 9 to 5 video game? Or the last 5, or the First Wives Club video game. Do you remember his friend gets really? And
yeah,
I just like how they're playing on that history. I do agree with what you said. I think it's very funny. It's witty. I like the family a lot, especially the 2 parents. I think the sons are fun, but I don't think they're particularly that. They don't add much for me. I think the older son does. The younger two, hit or miss. The grandmother is very funny though.
Oh yeah.
She's and you can. There's a clear link between the grandmother and the mother in terms of like where the sass comes from, and also there's an episode with the sister when she comes in. And the two sisters are fighting over. What did you think of that one? Or what's your favorite episode?
I really like that. Well, I have a sister,
okay.
So it was cool to be able to relate to that. And there's been a lot of talk about how people think that it's white stories that are translated with an Asian American family, and they've said that about Blackish as well. And it makes you think, like, what is a white story? Is it a white story or a universal story that all demographics can relate to?
I think, and it has been a little contentious because the creator of the show, Eddie Wong, is like, this is not, he's spoken up too about the show, and he says that this is, ABC took it and didn't do what he wanted to do with it, I'm pretty sure. I think even if that did happen, the show is still entertaining and enjoyable as like a sitcom. He's not heavily involved in, like, I think he produces. I don't know if he writes. I don't think he does. But that kind of is dissimilar to, like, Everybody Hates Chris, where he was actively involved in the show and it was kind of about his childhood. One show that this reminds me of a lot, and you guys might agree, is Malcolm in the Middle. Did you watch that as a kid at all?
A little bit, here and there.
It's just the three sons and the parents, and I just definitely... And it has that, since it's from the child's perspective, that's kind of where a lot of the things come from. What do you think about, I'm curious to hear this from you, because the show, like The Middle, do you watch, I think you've seen The Middle, we talked about it before, and that's a lot from the mother's perspective. This is from the child's perspective, and how do you think that adds or doesn't add to the show?
Oh, I think it is a really important factor. To make it more interesting for the younger audience, at least. Like, now I'm student teaching, I'm with K through 5 children, and he's in middle school, and his siblings are younger, of course. And so I'm in that environment, and it's cool to see it from his eyes, and just familiarize yourself with that and, like, the struggles that you go through when you're in the lunchroom. I see it all the time. Kids, like, wanting to share their milk, but they can't, or then they spill it on someone else, and then one kid gets upset, and it's just a mess, like the little things that mean a lot to you, and how it was important for him to find a place to sit in the cafeteria when he first moved down there, things like that, and how he identifies himself. So I really appreciate it that it's through his point of view, as opposed to, like, Blackish, the father is the narrator mostly, and I love that as well, and that's a great way to represent that show.
Definitely.
But I think it's really fun to hear it from an 11-year-old and how he views life.
One thing I also want to point out is that why I think in a way it is similar to Malcolm in the Middle versus Modern Family is that those characters, as much as I love all of them, they're kind of heightened a little bit. The kids in Malcolm in the Middle and Fresh Off the Boat act like kids.
Yeah.
Like, Brick Heck reads books every day, reads a book every day, and Sue is outrageous, and I think they're a little more caricatures. They're definitely dense and they have a lot to them, but they're out on the surface, I don't think they act as much as kids, like the kids do on this show. You did mention the scene where he goes to lunch with the food and they're like, that's gross, and he's like, but this is like what I eat.
Yeah.
And I think and their chemistry with the kids, I definitely think that they do act like the kids versus the mother, who again, she's the best part in the show, but I do think that she is a little over exaggerated. Do you think?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, the question of stereotyping within the show, because...
And that's been big.
Yeah.
That's been very important
very
to
big.
The controversy with the
Yeah.
show.
But then Eddie Huang, the writer, he basically wrote a memoir about his life, and that's what it's based on. And so these were just examples of things that happened in his life. So does that make it stereotypical then, part of his culture? So it's an interesting question that I feel like the writers are grappling with, of how to portray this.
That's a good point. And I like the way that they compare their old house and their old culture with this, because I suppose like here she's struggling to make, the mother character, she's struggling to make friends, at least toward the beginning, and as are the children. And I thought that was kind of refreshing a little bit. To come, I do like that angle they took with the beginning of the show starts with them moving, and then that's where it picks up. And I love the restaurant angle. Do you like the supporting characters at the restaurant? The people who work for them? Because I think they're funny.
I think they're nice. I think they definitely add a little flavor to the show. They're unconventional, like characters that you wouldn't think of, and so I appreciate that.
I want a little more to them. I don't know if you do or not. Like, I think that they're a little thin, and I want a little more with them.
Like I want a little more of Grandma, She has those one-liners and stuff, but it'd be nice to have
we're
more of
wrapping
that.
up, but we have something important. A big thing happening today, and that is that Lindsey Lane Lorifus, right here, has been on the show for 3 years. We started on the show my freshman year, her sophomore year, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about it for a couple minutes. Maybe not. We'll see where it goes. But this was everyone kind of left that year, and me, you, and Eric kind of had to take over the show, and I think that all of us here are very, very sad to see you go because you have been pivotal in the, I don't know why I said that word twice, to the reformatting and the way that the show has changed in 3 years.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you to, we'll have to say on air, thank you to just being on the show. Not going to cry, but you can cry. But thank you so much to the show. It's very sad. And you had to student teach this semester, but very happy that you were able to come back for one last
thank you so much for having me back. It's just been a wonderful experience to be here and do this every week, and I really appreciate just being able to create this form of art with you guys, and I love our little family that we have here on ReelTV. So
you're trying to like lighten it up. I kind of just made it so somber and sad, but we are sad to see you go.
Yeah, well, you guys will do great things in the following years, and I'm excited to see all the fresh new faces. All
right, why don't you wrap it up?
All right, and on that note, thank you so much for watching this segment, and we'll be back with more.